Mason and I'm 7 years old. My mum has worked for Rhino almost 4 years. What's your name and role at Rhino?
Well, good afternoon, Mason. My name is Lee Higgins, and 25 years ago, I co-founded this business with one of my friends, and I am a director here at Rhino.
Which two members of your team would you want to be stuck on a desert island with and why?
Wow, that is a very good question. We've got 36 people here now. Who would I choose to be on a desert island with and why? That's a really good question. Okay, I think the first person I would say would be Vic. Have you met Vic? Vic is one of our guys who works in the event setup team, and he's really good at building things. So I think Vic would be really cool to be stuck with because he could build us a shelter. That would be my first person. I think the second person would be Hazel. Now Hazel is really creative, so I think if Hazel was on the island with us, she'd be able to decorate the shelter really, really nice. And I think she's that creative, she might even be able to figure a way of us getting out of there. So, can I have one more? Okay, my other person, because I think there should be another person, would be Martin. Now Martin is a really, really cool outdoor guy, so if you were stranded on a mountainside or on a desert island, Martin will be able to find food and shelter. So I think those would be my three people.
If you could have one superpower, what would you choose and why?
A superpower. I think I would like to be able to travel in time backwards and forwards, so I could go forward to see what the future holds, and I'd like to go backwards and catch up with some of my old school friends and go even further back than that and maybe meet my grandparents' grandparents.
What are you going to do to save the planet?
Well, that's an easy one for me. I'm already saving the planet. See, at my house we have certain bins, so every time on a Thursday when the bin men come round, I have to do all of the recycling. So we put all of the paper in the blue, all of the bottles and cans in the brown, etc. And I'm also one day probably going to go and buy an electric car as well. So that will certainly help save the planet.
Like a really speedy one?
Yeah, really fast one.
We won't tell anyone, but who is your favourite member of the team?
Right, okay, that's a really tricky question. Now, I don't actually have a favourite member of the team. All the team are very, very special to me. That said, you've been spending quite a lot of time here, haven't you, recently with your mum coming into work? So I would probably say my favourite member of the team at the minute is probably you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great.
What do you feel is your greatest success?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think over the years, Mason, there has been lots of success stories here at Rhino, but I think probably the biggest one is coming up very soon when we celebrate 25 years in business. I think that's quite an achievement.
What makes you proud about Rhino?
Lots of things, Mason, but I think the main thing that makes me so proud about Rhino is our people. That's the most important thing to me.
What would you like to influence in your job?
I think for me it's all about the surroundings that we create as an environment to work in and our culture, and I believe that a byproduct of that will be our success, and that's the biggest thing that I'm concentrating moving forward.
If you could give me one piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, I think that's quite a straightforward one. You've left the most straightforward one till the end, haven't you? I would always be kind to your friends. Okay, that's really important. Always respect your parents, and as important as both of those things, make sure that you smile every day. That's what you need to do. Like that, like a big smile like you've got. So what that means is go forward in time. So
Is
that his superpower?
Which two members of your team would you want to be stuck on a desert island with and why? Did you hear it?
Perfect.